if you want to accept Jesus today, type in me.
Wow.
And then these me started typing in. And that I could count at the time, I could count like 80 people that said me, but so many people were typing in me, me,
Come
me, me, me.
on. Amy,
Andy,
how are you,
I'm
hermana?
good. How are you? Hermano.
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for making time to
Of
just to
course.
chat today. I know you're very very busy, but yeah, you know what? I would just say let's get right into it. I know you've been reaching high schools for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years, but I know you've been
This
reaching
would
high
have been fifth
schools.
school year.
4 years?
This would have been my fifth.
Fifth?
Fifth school year. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, obviously, because of COVID, we can't go to high schools. We can't, go to schools.
Yeah.
But I know that you've been reaching students online. And you know what? Even as a celebration, I think you reached 300K.
Yeah. Yeah. Not too long ago.
Wow. Wow. Congrats. Honestly,
Thanks,
that's
Andy. Appreciate it.
that's incredible. That's incredible. But yeah, I would say what are you seeing God do right now, uh, digitally that you didn't see perhaps in high schools when you were going in person?
Yeah, when we're at the high schools, obviously we bring, the donuts and the pizza,
Yeah,
and we're like, come in and,
yeah,
always said Jesus brought the fish and bread, we bring the pizza.
yeah.
And you would want to build or give them a hunger to walk in the door. What I've seen
Wow,
online is that the hunger's already there. They come across a video, and for them, when you look at their For You page, it's like, oh, this is for me. Like, this is tailored
wow,
to me. And just thinking that something is tailored to them, I think that they're like, God is really reaching out to me.
mm,
And, I love a verse in the Bible that says that everything around us, the time that we're in, the place that we're in, it's meant so that we can find and feel our way towards God.
mm,
And I really feel that in this season, I know that it's been crazy. I know that it's been hard, and everybody has a different story. But in one way or another, God is reaching out to them, and they're finding and feeling their way towards God. I feel
wow,
that before in high schools, we would have to convince them of God being valid and God
mm,
being there. And now it's almost like, because everything is stacked up this way, you look around, you're like, I can't deny what's going on. I can't
wow,
deny that this is a struggle, and I can't deny that I need a higher help. Because when you
wow,
can't look to your left and you can't look to your right, you only have one way to look, and you're going to look up. You're going to look to
mm,
Him and say, God, like, I need you. And I really feel like that hunger is there now more than ever.
wow,
I think a story where I really started to realize it um, is when I first jumped on live. And I actually had a group of creators that, after we met with them and they encouraged everybody, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to jump on live. And I didn't have that many followers at the time.
yeah,
But I remember that almost 170 people joined on that first time. And I was like, you know what? I jumped on with a split second, didn't prepare a message, but I was like, I'm just going to preach what I preach in the high schools.
wow,
And I remember that I preached the first message, I even preached with one voice, which was, the struggle is real, but so is God.
mm,
I preached that same message, and then I gave the gospel presentation. And then in that moment, I was like, I'm going to do an altar call. Let's just see how this goes. And I did it. And I started saying, if you want to accept Jesus today, type in me.
wow,
And then these me started typing in. And that I could count at the time, I could count like 80 people that said me, but so many people were typing in me, me,
come
me, me, me.
on,
And then
wow,
I said, all right, say this prayer with me. And then people were praying. And then I said, all right, if you prayed this, then type in saved. And then
wow,
the save started coming in. I was like, this can't be real.
wow,
This can't be real. This can't be happening. And as they were coming in and these saves are coming, I was like, God, you're doing something so much greater than I could have ever imagined. What used to take us, a whole team coming in and
yeah,
inviting kids. Now
yeah.
all I got to do is turn on my phone, press a button, and these kids are jumping on.
Wow, dude, that's so crazy. That is so crazy. Why do
It
you?
goes far beyond now, I think, even us trying, but it's just God saying, here it is.
Mm,
It's like there's no more striving at this point, and I think that that's what I'm so grateful for. Like,
wow,
God is not even having a strive. He's just like, here it is. I want to pour out my spirit on this generation.
wow, that's so crazy. Why do you think like Gen Z? I mean, I'm a millennial. I don't know if you're a millennial, but Um,
I
I
hope I
I'm,
am.
I really saw the Lord move within my generation. But to be quite honest, I've never seen what I'm seeing now. Honestly,
Mhm.
I've never seen the Lord be so intentional. I mean, he's always been, but the way he's doing it now, it's very unique. Why do you think Gen Z?
I think that they have a voice. I
Mm,
think before I was just speaking actually with my brother not too long when I said, when I was in high school, phones weren't really a big thing at that point.
mm,
There was no pulling out your phone and creating a video.
wow.
But now, and I even take this as an example, like when teachers would tell you put away your phones, that wasn't difficult.
Yeah,
But now to get us to put away our phones,
yeah.
that's a whole other thing. Like that's not even a rule anymore in schools because they know it's impossible.
Wow.
And I feel that um, they have been given a voice and they feel like this right, like I should be heard. And
Wow.
because of that, I feel that people are being not just equipped, but called a lot earlier because they're seeing people do it and the people really set the tone. Honestly, I've always said if you want to serve a generation, it's because you want to give to a generation. And when you give to that generation, you want them to do it bigger and better than you already did because you already paved the way towards that place. And
Mm,
I feel like millennials in that way, we paved the way in a sort of way where we're like, okay, we'll take it first, we'll take the baton. And now Gen Z is like running with it.
wow.
And they're doing it bigger, they're doing it better as it should be because we want them to do it that way.
Wow.
And I feel that because they now have a voice, they're starting to realize, hey, I'm not in this by myself.
Mm,
What we would say with the high schools is that Christian clubs used to be the small little club of 7 kids, and in the same way, now these kids are finding themselves on Jesus TikTok or Christian TikTok, and they're saying, "I'm not alone." And when they're
wow.
saying "I'm not alone," it's people not just in their cities, but in their states, in the country, and around the world that are
Wow.
all preaching Jesus, and it makes you feel like I'm a part of this and I get to be a part of this. I'm
Wow.
not just sitting in the bleachers, but I'm putting on the jersey and I'm playing in the game
Mm,
because I want to be a part of what God is doing in this time and in this place. I feel that Gen Z really loves a call to action, and God loves for us to respond.
wow.
And God always is responsive when we are responsive. We have a choice to either say yes or no.
Mm,
And I love that Gen Z has said yes. They have
wow.
said yes to God. And they have done that in their imperfections. And I think that that's what people love.
Yeah.
That they're being raw, that they're being real, that they're being honest. And it
Wow.
makes you feel, hey, I'm not by myself. And
Mm,
God will always honor those who honor him. And so if we want to talk about the numbers, numbers are to me just a small amount compared to the souls that are being reached. For
wow.
me, every number is a soul, every comment is a
Come
soul.
on.
And when they're jumping on and seeing what God is doing and that they're saying yes to this,
Yeah.
that's just God honoring what their response.
Wow. That's amazing. It's crazy that you bring that up because I mean, obviously, you just hit 300K, and I think it's really easy for people to say, well, okay, well, that's just a number, but no, that those are 300,000 lives, right?
Yes,
And that are actually being impacted on a day to day with the gospel. Um,
100%.
yeah, that said, is there a story that comes to mind, even as we talk about this, like just knowing that these numbers are not just numbers, but they're actually people that are being reached?
Yeah. Like I said, this all has to do with a response. And I was, for a time, going live for about 2 months straight. I was
Mm,
doing 2 lives a night. And there was this girl that jumped onto these lives. She was there every single night. And the thing is that once I think that information is so accessible now,
yeah.
and so this girl, she found out that there was baptisms held at my church. I didn't even know there was baptisms held at my church, but she found my church's Instagram, and
Mm,
she found the information. It turned out that she lived near me and actually went to my old high school. She was
no
a few
way.
years older than I am, but she went to my old high school. And so
Wow.
she went to this day that they had baptisms, and they passed her the mic, and they're like, "How did you get here?" And
No.
she said, "Because of Amy on TikTok." And
Wow.
I didn't even know any of this was going on. Another person that follows me that I didn't know that attended the church sent me a video and was like, This baptism
Wow.
just happened because of TikTok.
No
And my
way.
mind was blown. And then I found out that she actually brought her kids to get baptized the same day because they had been watching the Bible studies with her that we were doing every single night. So they too were receiving. And what
Wow.
I started hearing from a lot of people is that during these live sessions, they were actually sitting there with their families, hearing these Bible studies, going through it together. And then actually, after a week after that happened, this mom and daughter that were watching the Bible studies together as well as a family
Wow.
found out the night that I was doing gatherings, they came, brought their dad, brought their brother, brought the brother's
Wow.
girlfriend, brought this whole family in to hear about God. And this girl, maybe 3 weeks later, got
Wow.
baptized 3 weeks later, and all of this happened because of TikTok. And they came and they showed me their Bibles, the Bibles that we were reading together, the notes that we were we
Wow.
were studying together, and my mind just opened up of this is so much more than a live. This is so much more than a number. This is so much more than just a momentary thing. This is God moving in extraordinary way. This is God
Wow.
pouring out His Spirit, like He said, in the last days He will pour out His Spirit
Come on.
over all flesh. And I
Come
believe
on.
that that is what God is doing right now, just pouring out His Spirit, and people are just having hands wide open and saying, God, I'm ready to receive whatever it is.
Wow.
And so, it goes so much more than a number. This is people responding, people's lives being changed, and people being restored, and not just restored, now being used. After that girl got baptized, I actually recorded a video of her where she said everything that God had been doing in her life. And just, that people are given that boldness comes after His Spirit. And that's how we know God is doing something amazing. God is doing something new.
Dude, what the heck? That's so amazing. All through TikTok. Like literally
All
all
through TikTok.
through a video. That's incredible. I would say honestly, Amy, just to like close it out. I know for so long it's been said, right, that social media is not, it's not good, and yeah, like it could be used for different things. But even in the Christian world, where like probably it doesn't seem as a good way to like preach the gospel, stuff like that. What would you say to anyone who's even like, who even has that thought, that belief, and how can we take initiative with our phone and say, you know what, I'm gonna preach the gospel?
You know, the only way that we can bring the light is when we go to the darkness.
Hmm.
And just like anything in this world, the world isn't good, but we've still been called to serve the world.
Wow.
And if we're not responding now where there's need, then we're never going to go and do anything.
Yeah.
When we were in the schools, I would tell people it's time that the church goes away from its four doors and we step into and be the church and go to them.
Wow.
And go to kids. And now their response is the same.
Yeah.
Maybe the method is different, but the mission hasn't changed. And I know that with social media, even I was in a place of, I don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is going to do. But God really does shut you up when you just say yes.
Wow.
Even because you're going to be called to things that you aren't comfortable with. I wasn't exactly comfortable with social media. And when you step in and you just give your yes, you're going to see God do things that you never would have even imagined. And so, yes, it's not all the time all good.
Yeah.
But it is a place where we are called to serve.
Wow.
We can't, light is only really truly seen in darkness. And if we really care about this generation, then let's reach them where they're at.
Wow.
And the one thing you can't pry away from their hands is their phone. So what if when they pick up their phone, instead of being leaned towards temptation, they're being leaned into Jesus? What if instead of hearing criticism, they're now hearing hope? What if now instead of hearing this condemnation, they're understanding there is salvation that is available for me? And so we're flipping the switch. But in order to flip the switch, we need laborers to say, I'm going to say yes. Even if I don't understand, even if I'm a millennial and I don't relate to Gen Z, even if I'm in this place of like, I think that TikTok is just full of dances. Like, I thought the same thing, but then quarantine changed my mind. Like, it's so much more. I saw this meme of, tell me the one thing that you're most grateful for meeting in 2020. And the response is TikTok. And that's me. I am so grateful that I met TikTok in 2020. Because, if God called us to reach a generation, We're going to reach them through social media. We're
Wow.
going to bombard them with these Bible verses and with Jesus. And it's not going to be annoying. It's going to be, this is what I needed. I just never knew that I did. You know, the Bible says that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Well, how else are they going to know that if nobody's speaking about it? Like,
Mm.
my prayer is that God would use my voice, my life, anything that I have to be
Come on.
able to tell this generation about who Jesus is, because what they need, the answer that they're looking for, is not anything else besides Jesus, but what they need is a name to it.
Come on.
But who are going to be the ones to speak that name? And that is what he's calling us into. There's this open invitation where we can drop even our presumptions and you know, our ideas of
Yeah.
what Gen Z is and what social media is, and be able to say, God, I believe that you can use even social media
Come on.
to bring, you know, people to know who you are.
Wow. Amy, I am so provoked by what you're sharing. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
making this time. Honestly, I think I could speak on behalf of everyone here, like at One Voice. We are so provoked and encouraged by your life, by your obedience, and we're in this together. We're in this together.
We are.
Yes, we love you, Amy. Thank you for making time. We'll stay in touch, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Andy.
All right, take care. Bye bye.